tenements. It was Signor Talamo's happy idea to gather together in a large room all the little ones between the ages of 3 and 7 belonging to the families living in the tenement. The play and work of these children was to be carried on under the guidance of a teacher who should have her own apartment in the tenement house. It was intended that every house should have its school, and as the Association for Good Building already owned more than 400 tenements in Rome, the work seemed to offer tremendous possibilities of development. The first school was to be established in January 1907 in a large tenement house in the quarter of San Lorenzo. In the same quarter, the association already owned 58 buildings, and according to Signor Talamo's plans, we should soon be able to open 16 of these schools within the house. This new kind of school was christened by Signora Olga Lodi, a mutual friend of Signor Talamo and myself, under the fortunate title of Casa dei Bambini, or the Children's House. Under this name, the first of our schools was opened on the 6th of January 1907 at 58 Via dei Marsi. It was confided to the care of Candida Nucitelli and was under my guidance and direction. From the very first, I perceived, in all its immensity, the social and pedagogical importance of such institutions, and while at that time my visions of a triumphant future seemed exaggerate, today many are beginning to understand that what I saw before was indeed the truth. On the 7th of April of the same year, 1907, a second children's house was opened in the quarter of San Lorenzo, and on the 18th of October 1908 another was inaugurated by the Humanitarian Society in Milan, in the quarter inhabited by workingmen. The workshops of this same society undertook the manufacture of the materials which we used. On the 4th of November following, a third children's house was opened in Rome, this time not in the People's Quarter, but in a modern building for the middle classes, situated in Via Famagosta, in that part of the city known as the Prati di Castello. And in January 1909, Italian Switzerland began to transform its orphan asylums and children's homes in which the Frebel system had been used into children's houses, adopting our methods and materials. The children's house has a twofold importance: the social importance which it assumes through its peculiarity of being a school within the house, and its purely pedagogic importance gained through its methods for the education of very young children, of which I now made a trial. As I have said, Signor Talamo's invitation gave me a wonderful opportunity for applying the methods used with deficients to normal children, not of the elementary school age, but of the age usual in infant asylums. If a parallel between the deficient and the normal child is possible, this will be during the period of early infancy, when the child who has not the force to develop and he who is not yet developed are in some ways alike. The very young child has not yet acquired a secure coordination of muscular movements, and therefore walks imperfectly, and is not able to perform the ordinary acts of life, such as fastening and unfastening its garments. The sense organs, such as the power of accommodation of the eye, are not yet completely developed. The language is primordial and shows those defects common to the speech of the very young child. The difficulty of fixing the attention, the general instability, etc., are characteristics which the normal infant and the deficient child have in common. Preyer also, in his psychological study of children, has turned aside to illustrate the parallel between pathological linguistic defects and those of normal children in the process of developing. Methods which made growth possible to the mental personality of the idiot ought, therefore, to aid the development of young children, and should be so adapted as to constitute a hygienic education of the entire personality of a normal human being. Many defects which become permanent, such as speech defects, the child acquires through being neglected during the most important period of his age, the period between 3 and 6, at which time he forms and establishes his principal functions. Here lies the significance of my pedagogical experiment in the children's houses. It represents the results of a series of trials made by me in the education of young children, with methods already used with deficients. My work has not been in any way an application, pure and simple, of the methods of Séguin to young children, as anyone who will consult the works of the author will readily see. But it is none the less true that, underlying these 2 years of trial, there is a basis of experiment which goes back to the days of the French Revolution, and which represents the earnest work of the lives of Itard and Séguin. As for me, 30 years after the publication of Séguin's second book, I took up again the ideas and, I may even say, the work of this great man, with the same freshness of spirit with which he received the inheritance of the work and ideas of his master Itard. For 10 years, I not only made practical experiments according to their methods, but through reverent meditation absorbed the works of these noble and consecrated men who have left to humanity most vital proof of their obscure heroism. Thus, my 10 years of work may in a sense be considered as a summing up of the 40 years of work done by Itard and Séguin. Viewed in this light, 50 years of active work preceded and prepared for this apparently brief trial of only 2 years, and I feel that I am not wrong in saying that these experiments represent the successive work of 3 physicians, who, from Itard to me, show in a greater or less degree the first steps along the path of psychiatry. As definite factors in the civilization of the people, the children's houses deserve a separate volume. They have, in fact, solved so many of the social and pedagogic problems in ways which have seemed to be utopian, that they are a part of that modern transformation of the home which must most surely be realized before many years have passed. In this way, they touch directly the most important side of the social question, that which deals with the intimate or home life of the people. It is enough here to reproduce the inaugural discourse delivered by me on the occasion of the opening of the second children's house in Rome, and to present the rules and regulations which I arranged in accordance with the wishes of Signor Talamo. It will be noticed that the club to which I refer, and the dispensary, which is also an outpatients institution for medical and surgical treatment, all such institutions being free to the inhabitants, have already been established. In the modern tenement, Casa Moderna, in the Prati di Castello, opened November 4th, 1908, through the philanthropy of Signor Talamo, they are also planning to annex a communal kitchen. End of Chapter 2, History of Methods.